Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Walkthrough Wednesday. You join me on the project of my latest release with Rave Republic on rave culture. As you can see, the track is called Rave is Our Religion. How many raves can I say in one sentence? Basically, I wanted to show you the drop. I think this track is one of the best tracks I've ever been a part of. I don't want to blow my own trumpet too much, but the drop, I think it's just as good as the break. Usually in EDM tracks, it's all about the drop, and the break just gets overlooked. It's kind of just thrown in there, but put a lot of effort into the breakdown, so we're going to do a separate video on that. We've got vocals in there as well. So the track's been out for about a week, I would say. By the time you watch this, it's doing really well so far. A lot of people like it. I've heard a few comments saying the drop's generic. I dare you to go try and make this drop. I think it's pretty cool. The lead stands out. It's a bit old school inspired, bit trance mixed with hardstyle, mixed with old school rave and big room as well. Obviously, got to keep it true to the big room fans. Before we jump into that, I have some exciting news to announce. I have finally released the project file from the big room trance from scratch. As you know, we made a big room trance track from absolutely nothing, from the ground upwards. It has vocals from myself in there as well, so we did the processing and all that, and finally I've released the FLP for you guys on my selfie page. The link is in description. If you don't know what it is, this is what it sounds like.
This is our destiny.
So that is the Big Room Trance 2021 from scratch project file that you can get a hold of. I used the latest version of FL Studio, so make sure you get the latest version of FL Studio and various other plugins. I've listed all the plugins on my selfie page, on the product page, so you can see what you will need. Some of the stuff's only used for the master and stuff like that, so you should be able to get in there and get all the stuff and the melodies and make it your own. Basically, I hope it really helps you out, because a lot of people struggle with this sound, with this kind of rave culture-y 2021 trance, big room trance sound, because the leads aren't the standard big room leads that everyone's been using for the past 8 years. So yeah, I hope it helps you guys out, and thanks for the support on Rave is Our Religion. Let's stop talking nonsense and get into the project itself. I'm gonna try and keep this short and sweet. It's a very simple drop, but it took me a long time to get to that point. Where do we start? Let's start with, I don't know why these are left out. Let's start with the kick. First of all, the kick drum itself is a very, very heavy kick. So this is not your usual big room kick. A big room kick usually is just really short and sweet and very clean on the punch side, but this has so much body. It's literally a heavy kick. It's a real hard house kick. I got it from one of the most extinct packs on planet Earth. This is from the Hard Psy pack from Splice, which disappeared. Like nobody can get a hold of it now. It's so rare. It's the crazy thing about Splice. Like if the packs get taken offline, you can still just go ahead and like as long as you've got them, download them at the time, you just keep them forever. So I have some exclusive stuff, but you know, wait for the sample pack, I would say. It's not just going to be this, right? Obviously I'm going to have to try and add some extra stuff to it. So here we have this first punch kick, but on top of that I needed something a little bit more sharp, so we went for this hard style top kick. And the transient this has is crazy, because we're missing a bit of transient on this one. Feels a little bit flat in the transient section, but in the body, in the mids, it has a really good body to the kick. So altogether it sounds like this. This one really punches through now. That this top kick is absolutely imperative to how the kick, another big word for you, imperative to how well the kick does. And I haven't actually played this one live anywhere, because it was made during this horrible lockdown situation, so I'm really curious to see how it does live, but I'm sure it will do well. Next we have the sub bass section. So it's just a reverse hardstyle kick. What I did with this was boosted the lows, because I'm using it as a sub bass, so I need the lows to be a little bit more subby, because I felt like the sample itself didn't have enough of that. Boosting the mids as well gives it a lot of character. just lifts it up in the mix as well. Quite a tight sidechain, they're nice and tight so it doesn't clash with my kick, as you will hear now. They fit very nicely together. Stereo imaging making it quite mono. The reason, I know you're probably thinking why you're doing this, because it's a hard style kick and it has characteristics, right, which you wouldn't want to narrow, right? But because I have added stuff, so I've added acid sounds to the offbeat, so I wanted them to be the things that stand out most, and this will just have a little bit of the kind of a little bit of stereo presence there because it has that nice characteristic in it. Another EQ, because I'm just like that. I'll add 6 or 7 EQs rather than fix it all in one. Actually ducking some of the highs and then another big boost on the lows, which probably makes a big difference. Yeah, you can hear right in the sub frequencies it kind of goes from this to like this, and it really bridges the gap, makes a perfect space for the leads to come in now. That's what I hear a lot in demos and in new producers. The gap between the sub bass and the leads is massive. So you can hear the kick, you can hear the sub, but there's a big gap between the sub and the leads, and that's because they're not hitting all the required frequencies. The reason that Hardwell, you know, Darren Styles, W&W, all these guys have 6 sounding tracks is because they hit every frequency and it sounds really full. There's no gaps in their mix, so be wary of that. Next, we have this acid shot. And what I love about this is this bit. The really old school, a little bit like my techno on my mind ID. Kind of want to make that my sound, so I decided to just let's with this one also make a little bit of acid influence as well. Got this sound also, and this one, which I lie about, I didn't even use it. I can see why, it's pretty ugly. Oh, this one's good. This one as well. So as you can see, this is just the way I would layer a lead. It's all about finding that main sound, the main acid sound, and finding other acid sounds to back it up. So all together we have this. See how it sounds like one acid shot, but actually it's lots of acid shots mixed together and EQ'd. I believe they're all EQ'd. Oh, they're EQ'd differently. So we have this one. Let's just have an overview because I don't think it's too important. This one is EQ'd with a little bit of a boost in the mids. I think you'll see a lot of mid boost in here. SSL compressor just to make sure it's really tight. I don't want it to be like jumping everywhere. I want it to be quite constant. With this little one, I've got a crazy boost there. Ducking a bit of the high mids though. Obviously I felt like that was needed. As you can hear, this is mostly about the high end. I've done a lot of boosts on the high end because I wanted it to be really crisp. This one, I think this is the main sound, to be honest. This is the main sound and everything else, because this one doesn't have a good high end. So that's why I'm going quite focused on the high end and the other sounds. I'm really boosting those. And just obviously always boost the, get rid of the low end in these sounds. You want to just get rid of all the low end that you need to. Don't just do this because you need all of the low end gone, because that's not how it works. You should always listen and see, oh, can I leave a little bit of the body in the sample itself, because taking away all the lows and the low mids and stuff is going to make the sound thin, right? Just make sure your ears, always trust your ears. If your ears say, yeah, I can get away with this, then you can leave it like that. And then altogether it sounds like this, and I think this by itself has great energy, crazy energy. But me being me, I wasn't going to stop there, so I added this extra sound, which is a donk sound actually from Nexus. It's called the Crushed FM. And it adds a little bit, it does add a little bit in the mix, so we will listen to it all together again, and then I have one more layer after this. Make sure I haven't missed any important parcels at the door. But here is everything together. See the difference that extra sound makes? And because it's a little bit old school, I wanted to try and find a donk, but none of the donks sounded good enough, so I went for this one. It's quite a future housey kind of bass sound, so it's not full donk, but it worked well in the mix. Finally, I had this hardstyle kick as well. Just because I felt like it rounded everything together. The thing I love about hardstyle kicks is they have such crispiness to them. So adding this on top, it wrapped everything together, and it just creates this crazy offbeat. It's just got a great rhythm. You can dance to it as well as like going crazy, you know. So I was really, really happy with how it turned out. I'm not sure what this is. This is the old kick I used actually. I don't know why it's in there. That's crazy. It's not used anyway. So let's ignore the lead still, and let's go into the other stuff. Actually, let's jump onto the leads now, because the main basis is drop kick, bass, and leads, right? So you've seen how I made the bass and the kick. Very, very simple. It just took me a long time to get there. We come on to the main selling point of the track, which is the lead. This is the lead. Just need to turn on all these automations. Probably one of the best leads I've ever used in a track. Note this in the top right corner, this is swing, so it's not directly on the beat. The melody is slightly moved along from the grid, and it creates a bit of swing. So rather than I didn't want it to just be bang on. This track is an offbeat bass track, reverse bass, so it has a bit of a swing and a rhythm to it. So I didn't want to keep this melody just bang on and boring, basically. So we come to my main sound, which is this one. Called the Trash Rave, but please nobody use it, because I still want to use this a couple more times, because it's pretty sick. It's from one of the Nexus packs. Such a powerful lead. Then we come on to this next sound, which is a silent sound, which is just a white noise from a Stonebank preset pack that I bought a while ago. We have this silent sound as well. Just, it has a lot of mid section. I say this a lot. Find your main sound, find other sounds, go away. This thing always interrupts me. So I always find like other sounds to boost the body of the sound. So I like to boost the mids in these sounds. As you can see, it's processed a little bit different. But we'll go through that next. And then finally, so that is just a really old school EDM sound. Now that sound is just really to add to the tops. I felt like I could get a little bit more crispiness in the tops, so I added this light lead on top. Let's take a look at the melody. I think this melody, like, look how basic it looks, man. It's so catchy. I'm not going to blow my own trumpet. It's a little bit like the Hardwell, Blasterjack's Big Room Never Dies melody. Like, I didn't copy it at all, not like consciously. But I mean, come on, we're now in 2021. Big room melodies are gonna get used, the same notes, but it's just so catchy and it's so simple. Start on the root note, end on the root note. That's what I always do with my like old school big room melodies, old school rave melodies. And you can just repeat it and repeat it. Really old school, has an old school feel about it. So I was happy with how that turned out. Now we go on to the main lead processing. So this is the main sound and what I did with it. Let's go through the main sound and see what it sounded like with no processing whatsoever. So it seems like I didn't use that, so I'll just turn that off. Let's see what it sounds like with zero processing, and it is this. Let's put things on one by one so you can really hear what's happening. So it makes a massive difference. It sounds much more heavy and much more energetic as well. Camel Crusher, this is just the standard stuff you see every time. Couldn't live without these. See how the overdrive just gives it so much power there. Got the Fab Filter Satin doing a nice boost, a big boost in the mids there. With the clean tape, no warm tube on that one. Transient Master because I wanted to boost the click of the sound. Got an EQ, not really getting rid of too many lows because I felt like I could get away with that amount of lows, and when you hear the final track, there's no mud, so I could have got away with that, whereas most people would just take 100 hertz and under out, which would make the sound more thin. Got a nice little delay, which is quite important. Because the melody is on the kick, you'll hear that with my track with Ben Nicky. The melody is so you can have an offbeat. It just adds more to the rhythm. If you've got an offbeat bass, it just works as well. It just fits so well. SO and Imager making it wider because I just want it to sound way more full. Had a little boost with an EQ there just because that's the way I am. Peak controller and the reverb. Quite a lot of ducking on the reverb there because I wanted this lead to sound as clean as possible, but also have that crazy reverb energy. Art Acoustic as always. A compressor at the end because I want to compress everything I've done before, make it all sound tight. Another delay. I think that's the main delay. I just turned it off in the other one. And then a sidechain at the end. Just making sure everything... I like to put my sidechain at the end so everything becomes tighter and that delay is tight and stuff. So that's how I got the main sound to sound so fat. The other sounds, this one is on mixer track 28. All I did with this one